Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jayo Gopi Janna Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari. Jai Gopi Janna Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari. Shodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Shodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jai Gopi Janna Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari Jayo Giri Varadhari. Janna Vallabha Jayo Giri Varadhari. Shodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Shodhanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Munatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari. Madhava Jayo Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Radha Madhava Astasakya Sri Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, Punishment and Reward of Kali, Shloka 44. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Papraccha ratham ārūḍhaḥ. kārtasvara-paricchadam. megha-gambhīrayā vācā. samāropita-kārmukaḥ. papraccha ratham ārūḍhaḥ. kārtasvara-paricchadam. megha-gambhīrayā vācā. samāropita-kārmukaḥ. Please chant. Mataji. Papraccha, inquired, ratham, chariot, ārūḍhaḥ, seated on, kārtasvara, gold, paricchadam, embossed with, megha, cloud, gambhīrayā, exonerating, vācā, sound, samāropita, well-equipped, kārmukaḥ, arrows and bow. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Mahārāja Parīkṣit, well equipped with arrows and bow and seated in a gold-embossed chariot, spoke to him, the śūdra, with a deep voice sounding like thunder. Purport. An administrative head or king like Mahārāja Parīkṣit was full majestic authority, well equipped with weapons to chastise miscreants, can challenge the agents of the age of Kali. Then only will it be possible to counteract the degraded age. And in the absence of such strong executive heads, there is always disruption of tranquility. The elected show bottle executive head, as representative of a degraded public, cannot be equal with a strong king like Mahārāja Parīkṣit. The dress or style of royal order does not count. It is one's actions which are counted. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamine Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurat Vishwe Namaha. Vanjakalpatarvasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Ghora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here in this chapter we have a king, Mahārāja Parīkṣit, encountering another king or so-called king, śūdra, dressed as a king and behaving in a criminal way, harming a bull. This is not what a real king would do. But that person, that Kali, he was dressed as a king. So officially he was a king, but he acted as miscreant. So Mahārāja Parīkṣit was there to punish him. And in Purport here, Prabhupada says one very interesting phrase: elected show bottle executive head. What it means, show bottle? Historically, in pharmacies, there was a large glass bottle filled with a colored liquid and displayed in a pharmaceutical window to advertise medicines that pharmacists were selling in old days. Basically, it was just a colored liquid. It was not a medicine, but was advertised as a medicine that people would come and buy medicines. So bottle basically means something that there appears to be something, but in reality it's something different. It's not a real thing. So things often are not as they appear to be. And history is also full of examples. Just recently I heard about artist, painter who was selling paintings of some famous old painter from some centuries ago for millions of dollars. And people were buying it because it was a rare antiquity. But it came out that actually this artist, he was painting themselves and signing as that ancient painter. I forgot the name. But somehow they caught him. So he was selling something fake as original. And then again, in any field, you'll find so many fake and originals. For example, if you want to buy a real gemstone like a ruby or diamond, you go on internet and good luck to get the real one. You get a certificate, you get everything, but nobody can say is it a real one unless you go and test it in a lab, and then you find out it's actually it's fake, and you were cheated and pay a lot of money. Or just try buying a real honey in India. It's also very difficult. Most of honey brands, you have commercial ones, they're sugar added or modified, and they're not real honey. So many examples are like this. And yeah, medicines also. Sometimes they are advertised as very beneficial, but then after some time it turns out that they are harmful. Once I saw some advertisement from 1940s or 50s on the TV, they were advertising DDT, which is a pesticide. So with this DDT, they were spraying the babies. And they were saying, oh, it's very good for your baby. And of course, later it was found that it's very harmful and it's banned in most of the countries. DDT is a very poisonous substance. But at that time, it appeared something very beneficial. So, like these things are often different from what they appear to be. But not only things, persons also. Somebody appears to be very sincere, but it turns out that he is something different. Sincere comes from Latin word sincerus, which means pure, clean, sound, or another word sinecera, which has some folk etymology. In old Rome, sculptors, they were selling different sculptures, but sometimes there would be a crack in a sculpture, so they would cover it with wax in order to hide the faults. So sine would means without wax. So sculpture which is without wax would be original sculpture. So that's the etymology of the word sincerity. And what is opposite to sincerity? It's duplicity. Archaic meaning of these words of duplicity is the state of being double. Or it means also deceitfulness or double dealings. And the dictionary says duplicity is a practice of working to people's disadvantage behind their backs. You are working to cause harm to somebody without their backs, without their knowing. That's called duplicity. And where is this duplicity coming from? It's coming from the tendency to cheat others. We know that all conditioned souls, they have four faults. Each conditioned soul makes mistakes, it has imperfect senses, it's prone to illusion, and has tendency to cheat others. And if you remember, there are also four pillars of Dharma: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And peace of mind depends of possessing these qualities. And they are fully present in people in a Satya Yoga. And gradually, as the ages progress, they are decreasing by 1/4. That's why in Treta Yoga you have only 3 qualities, in Dvapara 2, and in Kali you're supposed to have only 1 quality left: truthfulness or Satyam. But nowadays, Kali Yoga has progressed so much that you can hardly find any truthfulness left. So how are these good qualities destroyed? Tapa or austerity is destroyed by pride. If you're doing some austerity and you're proud, oh, how many rounds I chant, or I do Nirjala Ekadashi every time, basically you lose the result of your tapasya. Saucham, cleanliness, is destroyed by unrestricted association with opposite sex, or in modern days with the same sex. Daya, mercy, is destroyed by intoxication. And Satyam, truthfulness, is destroyed by what? Is destroyed by untruth, or in plain words, by lies. Truthfulness is destroyed by lies, or as Srila Prabhupada says in one purport, Satyam is destroyed by too much lying Propaganda, lying propaganda destroys truth. So cheating, as the tendency of the conditioned soul, is being carried out by this too much of a lying propaganda. And never as much as before in the world we have this too much of a lying propaganda. With the advent of internet, it created a very good facilities for lying propaganda. So that every step we are bombarded on internet, on social networks, or different websites with ads, fact checkers, censors, this and that, so much propaganda, and most of it is lying. There could be some drop of truth also there. So public opinion and reactions of general population, they're shaped in accordance to the interests of various interest groups. And this is all controlled by those who control the internet, who control the media, big tech companies. And they're not philanthropists, they have their own selfish interest. Their agenda is not to serve, but to exploit. And then, of course, then you have different government agencies, national, international. And although they appear to be working in a public interest, they present themselves as such, that they are protecting your health, they're protecting the environment, they're protecting this, that. In reality, they all have some hidden agendas and motives, but you cannot say that openly. Otherwise, you'll be called conspiracy theorist or something like that. So basically, something else is advertised for something that is not, and that's cheating. So it's a very deplorable state of civilization, present modern so-called civilization. And this is the civilization sooner or later needs to fall, and we can see that already started to crumble. And even in our lifetimes, I think we will see the fall of it. And Srila Prabhupada says the only solution is the revival of Bhagavad Dharma. The revival of Bhagavad Dharma can save human civilization from falling prey to evils of all description. So how are those who are expert in cheating others called? Who are expert in lying propaganda? They're called asuras. They're not demigods, they're asuras or demons. So demons, they also dress very nicely externally, but inside their heart is very much polluted. In regard to that, there's one shloka said by Kashyapa Muni in a 6th canto after Diti approached him and basically forced him to have intercourse with him. He says, Sharad Padmotsavam Vaktram Vācā Shavanamritam Hridayam Kshura Dharabham Strinam Kuveda Cheshtitam. A woman's face is as attractive as beautiful as a blossoming lotus flower during autumn. So something appears to be very beautiful. Her words are very sweet and they give pleasure to the ear. But if we study a woman's heart, we can understand it to be extremely sharp, like the blade of a razor. In these circumstances, who could understand the dealings of a woman? This is not to criticize women, it can be same with a man. Externally, they can appear very kind and polite, but internally, the heart can be very, very sharp. So can we find some example of a person who externally appeared to be very, very nice, but internally it was very harsh? We can take any demon from Krishna Leela. Let's, for example, take Putana, because she fits the example of this Kashyapa Muni's words. She was a Rakshasi, she was a witch. Means it was huge, with a very ugly and with very, sharp teeth. And she was sent by Kamsa to kill all the newborn children born within 7 days in Vraj, in a surrounding area of Mathura, to make sure that Krishna is also killed, because Krishna was born and Kamsa was very upset that he missed to catch him and kill him. So Putana was sent on a mission, so she was killing children around. And then eventually she located the Gokul, where the Krishna was born, and the house of Nanda Maharaj. So she observed it from the sky. She was flying on a broom. Srila Prabhupada describes, even nowadays or in those days, there are still some witches in villages of South India or something like that. So she was flying like that, and when she came above the Gokul, she just landed in a nearby grove. And what did she do there? She transformed herself in a very, very beautiful lady. She was not a witch anymore. She was looking like a miss of a universe, with a very nicely decorated hair, with the flowers, big hips and large breasts, and very nice sari and necklaces and ankle bells and garlands. So when she was walking on the road, everybody was stunned with her beauty, especially men, and everybody was turning around. Wow, they thought it's a goddess Lakshmi who came to bless Krishna, because Lakshmi Devi wanted to give blessings. Krishna was just born a few days ago. So everybody gave her free passage. So she was just passing by because of her external appearance, which was very beautiful. And when she came to Nanda Maharaj's house, Rohini and Yashoda were there, and they noticed her, but they were also stunned by her beauty, and they didn't say anything. They just let her walk into the room where Krishna was lying in the cradle. So you see how external appearance can deceive and give you free passage without anybody doubting your ill motivation. She had very ill motivation in her heart. She wanted to kill Krishna. But because she appeared so nice and beautiful, she was given free passage. So she came there and looked at the cradle. Krishna was lying there. He was a small baby. And she took him into her laps, into her arms. And Krishna was looking at her. At the moment, for a moment, although he knows everything, he was perplexed. She is approaching me as a mother. She wants to give me her breast milk. And she did it, but her breast, it was smeared with a fast-acting poison. So she pushed it into Krishna's mouth. And Krishna thought, wow, she's like my mother. She's giving me some affection. But then he remembered all the children that she killed, and he became angry because she's a baby murderer. She already killed so many, so I have to stop her. So while suckling the milk from her breast, Krishna sucked her life force, prana, and she felt like suffocating, and she tried to kick him off of her breast, but she was not successful because Krishna was holding very, very tightly. So she ran out of the house, screaming, and in that agony, her beautiful form of a beautiful lady disappeared, and she again came back to her real form of a huge, monstrous witch, Rakshasi. She grew in size and ran, and then at one point she just fell to the ground dead. And when the Gopis and Rajvasis came, they just saw Krishna happily playing there on a big mountain of her body. So in this way, we can see that somebody can appear very nice externally, but heart can be very, very, very harsh. And Putana, she also had brothers, if you know, Aghasura and Bakasura, Python, demon, they were also Rakshasas, but in order to deceive Krishna, they manifested as a python and a stork or duck demon. And interestingly, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he describes that Bakasura, he represents cunning, duplicity, deceptiveness, and false types of behavior. This is Bakasura. So it's if you notice any traces of this deceptiveness and duplicity in the heart, it is very auspicious to hear this lila of killing Bakasura. By this constant hearing, this anartha can be removed. So kapatya, crookedness, it's a natural characteristic of demons, demonic persons. Shukadeva Goswami, he says in the 8th canto, he says, demons are by nature crooked, like snakes. Therefore, to distribute a share of the nectar to them was not at all feasible, since this would be as dangerous as supplying milk to a snake. Considering this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who never falls down, did not deliver a share of nectar to the demons. And then in the Purport, Srila Prabhupada comments, it is said, Sarpa krura kala krura, sarpat krura taran kala. The snake is very crooked and envious, and so also is a person like a demon. Mantra ushadi vasha sarpa kala kena nivaryate. One can bring a snake under control with the mantras, herbs, and drugs, but an envious and crooked person cannot be brought under control by any means. Considering this logic, the Supreme Personality of Godhead thought it unwise to distribute nectar to the demons. This is the churning of the milk ocean, Lila, where Lord appeared as Mohini Murti. So Lord also had to deceive, to cheat the demons. The demons are cheaters, but Lord is the best of all cheaters, and He can cheat all the cheaters. And again we see this example that dressing externally is a way to cheat others. If you remember, when all the demigods and demons, they were seated on a long table waiting for Mohini Murti to distribute the nectar, Rahu dressed as a demigod, and in this way he passed unnoticed until sun and moon detected him, because they have natural animosity. But for some time he passed unnoticed, that even Mohini Murti didn't notice him at first. So she was distributing nectar, amrita, and also to the Rahu. So he started drinking it, but that moment sun and moon alarmed the Mohini Murti, and the Lord quickly cut off his head. But because he drank the nectar, his head became immortal, and he is nowadays a planet that causing a solar and lunar eclipses. And there is one shloka in that chapter about motivation of demigods and demons, how externally they may do the same things. They both participated in churning the milk ocean, but the result that they got was different because their motivations were different. The place, the time, the cause, the purpose, the activity, and the ambition were all the same for both demigods and demons, but the demigods achieved one result and the demons another. Because the demigods are always under the shelter of the dust of the Lord's lotus feet, they could very easily drink the nectar and get the result. The demons, however, not having sought shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, were unable to achieve the result they desired. So this is the difference. The demigods, the devotees, they're taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet in all circumstances. And demons are not doing that. They're trying by their own power, by their own strength, by their own facilities and capabilities to achieve something. And that's why they don't get the same result. And then in a purport to this shloka, Srila Prabhupada comments something very interestingly. There are many karmis in the dress of devotees. Yes, you heard right. Many karmis in the dress of devotees, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead can detect their purpose. The karmis want to use the property of the Lord for their selfish sense gratification. but a devotee endeavors to use the Lord's property for God's service. Therefore, a devotee is always distinct from the karmis, although the karmis may dress like devotees. So it's not enough just to dress a dhoti or sari and to be a devotee. One can be dressed as a devotee, can have a shika, long shika, tulsi around, tilak, and still he can be a karmi, according to this purport of Srila Prabhupada. And pretending to be a devotee, it seems to be common practice since time immemorial. Rahu pretending to be a demigod, which is a devotee. And there are other examples in more recent times. For example, when there is one nice section in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where Srila Prabhupada again gives nice purpose in these regards. It's when Rupa and Sanatana Goswami were meeting the Lord Chaitanya in Ramakeli for the first time. They were very humble. Their humility almost melted the Lord Chaitanya's heart with the straw in their mouth. They were offering full dandavats and then offering so many nice prayers. Even this prayer now Mahavadanyaya at that time I think was offered by Srila Rupa Goswami. And it just melted the Lord's heart, and he embraced them, he patted them on their head and gave them their blessings. And he asked them to go and now take the blessings of the devotees who were present there. His associates, Lord Chaitanya's associates were present there, and Lord instructed Rupa Sanatana Goswami to take their blessings and their mercy. And when the devotees, his associates, saw how Lord was merciful to them, they were all very happy. When all the devotees saw the mercy of the Lord upon the two brothers, they were very much gladdened, and they began to chant the holy names of Lord Hari Hari. So when they saw how Lord Chaitanya bestowed their mercy, all associates, they were so happy in their hearts. And Srila Prabhupada then comments in a purport to that shloka in Chaitanya Charitamrita. An actual Vaishnava is very pleased to accept another Vaishnava who is bestowing the Lord's mercy. A mundane person in a dress of a Vaishnava, again the same theme, mundane person in a dress of a Vaishnava should not be respected but rejected. This is enjoined in the Shastra, upeksha. The word upeksha means neglect. One should neglect an envious person. A preacher's duty is to love the Supreme Personality of Godhead, make friendship with the Vaishnavas, show mercy to the innocent, and reject or neglect those who are envious or jealous. There are many jealous people in the dress of a Vaishnavas in this Krishna consciousness movement, and they should be completely neglected. There is no need to serve a jealous person who is in the dress of a Vaishnava. When Narottam Das Thakur says, Chadya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Peyechikeva, which means without serving a pure devotee one cannot make progress, he is indicating an actual Vaishnava, not an envious or a jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava. So again Srila Prabhupada repeats from the Bhagavatam that the person can be dressed as a Vaishnava, but actually he can be just a jealous and envious non-Vaishnava, non-devotee. So let's just go back quickly for that Leela where Lord Chaitanya bestowed the mercy to Rupa and Sanatan. When all the Vaishnava associates of the Lord who were present, including Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, Shivas, Gadadhar Pani, Mukunda, Jagananda, Murari, and Vakreshwar. So in accordance with the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatan, immediately touched the lotus feet of these Vaishnavas, who all became very happy and congratulated the two brothers for having received the mercy of the Lord. So after getting the mercy of the Lord, Rupa and Sanatan got the mercy of all the present Vaishnavas. And then in a purport, Srila Prabhupada comments, quote, this behavior is indicative of real Vaishnavas. When they saw that Rupa and Sanatana were fortunate enough to receive the mercy of the Lord, They were so pleased that all congratulated the two brothers. A jealous person in the dress of a Vaishnava is not at all happy to see success of another Vaishnava in receiving the Lord's mercy. Unfortunately, in this age of Kali, there are many mundane persons in the dress of Vaishnavas. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described them as disciples of Kali. He says, Kali Chela. He indicates that there is another Vaishnava, a pseudo-Vaishnava, with a tilak on his nose and kanti beads around his neck. Such a pseudo-Vaishnava associates with money and women and is jealous of successful Vaishnavas. Although passing for a Vaishnava, his only business is earning money in the dress of a Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur therefore says that such a pseudo-Vaishnava is not a Vaishnava at all, but a disciple of Kali Yuga. A disciple of Kali cannot become a Acharya by the decision of some high court. Mundane votes have no jurisdiction to elect a Vaishnava Acharya. A Vaishnava Acharya is self-effulgent, and there is no need for any court judgment. A false Acharya may try to override a Vaishnava by high court decision, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he is a nothing but the disciple of Kali. Kali Chela, that's the disciple of Kali. So where are all these Kali Chelas? Should we just go around and search for them and catch them and expose them? Actually, these Kali Chelas, they're hiding in our hearts. So we should first try to find them there. Kali Chela is waiting to jump out of our heart and start cheating others. So we should be very careful and have an eye on him, meaning that we should be introspective and notice the tendency for deceit and duplicity which may sometimes come in our heart. And besides that, we should be working also on developing the opposite quality. So what is the opposite quality of this deceitfulness, duplicity, tendency to cheat? It is called simplicity or saralata, which means freedom from mental duplicity, or basically it means honesty. Even in Bhagavad Gita in 13th chapter, Shri Krishna, he mentioned it as an item of knowledge, arjavam. Amanitam, adambitam, ahimsak shantir arjavam. So humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, and cleanliness are the qualities of highly developed persons. So freedom from mental duplicity. And Srila Prabhupada comments that simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. Disclose the real truth even to enemy. What to speak about friends? There is no question of lying to people who are not enemies, who are friends. That means that I'm a duplicitous. If I'm lying for anything, means I have some motive, some agenda to achieve. That's why I'm just trying to manipulate you by telling you some lies or half lies. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he very much stressed this saralata, simplicity. He would say saralata hi Vaishnavata. Simplicity is Vaishnavism. You cannot be a Vaishnava without being a simple. It's the essence of Vaishnavism. Saralata e Vaishnavata. So real Vaishnavas, they're simple as a child. There is no question of being crooked. There is no question of duplicity or pretentiousness. So we have to see if there are any traces of these inauspicious qualities in our heart. Whether we are simple-hearted or there is some crookedness there. For real Vaishnava, it's not possible to be crooked, duplicitous, deceitful person. It is completely opposite to the nature of a Vaishnava. And sometimes the question is raised for many years. A person stays in the temple, in the mat, with the guru, associating with the sadhus, Vaishnavas, listening. harikatha, rendering so many services. But it is observed, and he notices himself that he is not making any progress. So what is the answer to this? Answer to this is that the person is not a simple-hearted person. He is missing this quality of simplicity. And although outwardly he is doing so many things, he is not making a progress because he is not simple. He is deceitful. His mind is crooked. So before curing this crookedness, he cannot make progress. So it's of utmost importance to develop this quality of simplicity or saralata. This is what Jiva Goswami also stresses in Bhakti Sandarbha, that it's a must. One cannot make any progress in spiritual part. His bhakti will not progress one step if he doesn't develop simplicity. And it is so important that Lord Chaitanya, he made one of his associates suffer to teach the lesson of others about simplicity. If you remember, it was a Chota Haridas who, in order to cook lunch for the Lord, went and begged some rice from a lady, although he was not a sannyasi supposed to do so. And then when Lord Chaitanya told his associate that he doesn't want to see me anymore, they couldn't understand. They pleaded to the Lord and begged him to allow him to see Chota Haridas. But Lord Chaitanya, he replied to their requests. He said, I cannot tolerate in seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with women. And then in Purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur comments that the saralata or simplicity is the first qualification of a Vaishnava, whereas duplicity or cunning behavior is a great offense against the principles of devotional service. As one advances in Krishna consciousness, one must gradually become disgusted with material attachment and thus become more and more attached to the service of the Lord. If one is not factually detached from material activities, but still proclaims himself advanced in devotional service, he is cheating. No one will be happy to see such behavior. So it's not a problem if you are not still advanced, but if you are presenting yourself as advanced, although you are not, that means you are cheating. And this is the worst thing you can do to others and to yourself. So we may be able to cheat others, but we can never cheat Krishna. He is in the heart and he knows everything. There was an example of that Ram Das Vishwas in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who traveled with Raghunath Das Goswami and who even served him, carried his bag, massaged his feet. And he was known as devotee of Lord Ramachandra because he always chanted the Ram Nam, the holy name of Lord Ramachandra. So everybody thought he's a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra. But still, Lord Chaitanya didn't want to meet him because he knew that Ram Das Vishwas, in his heart he was a personalist. And although outwardly he was doing all the activities, devotional service, even chanting the holy names of Lord Ram, still he wanted to merge into existence of the Lord. He wanted to become a Lord. That's why Lord completely ignored him. So that's why we should very carefully observe this tendency for duplicity in our thoughts, in our words, in deeds, and correct ourselves by understanding it's very harmful for our spiritual life. So try our best to give it up, try our best to develop simplicity. And for the end, I will just quote a couple of things from Srila Prabhupada. For example, in one letter, Srila Prabhupada says, so in our society there should be no diplomacy, no politics. Everyone should be eager how to do good to others. That is a Vaishnava. Politics mean planning for one's own happiness. So you think, oh, for Krishna I have to do some politics, some plots, this, that. No, that means you're planning for your own happiness. And another place, Srila Prabhupada says, for a Vaishnava there is no suffering. Personally, he's very much anxious. How these rascals will be happy? That is his business. Therefore, Vaishnava will have no politics. Politics means planning for one's own happiness. Again, I'm repeating the same thing. And another morning walk, he says, differences must be discussed openly amongst ourselves, no secret meetings. We are Vaishnavas, devotees, not politicians. So these things must be stopped. Plotting must be stopped. There were some plots in those days which Srila Prabhupada established, so he immediately dismissed this. The rogues cannot be simple, always intriguing, making plan, plotting. These are roguisms. It's a new word, the roguisms. But a Vaishnava requires very simple life. So no roguisms, very simple life. And now I want all of you to work cooperatively and very frankly. That is our process. Not that we shall always plot and scheme and write letters. So we are Vaishnava devotees, we are not politicians. So let us all try to become very honest, simple and truthful, devotee of the Lord, and shun all crookedness and deceit and duplicity from our heart. It will help us on a spiritual path. Okay, we just have a few more minutes left. If anybody has any question, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. It seems that there's a tendency to, with this information, become like the judge of others. So what is your recipe to prevent ourselves in becoming the next Yamaraj in the society of devotees? Thank you.
Yeah, about judging others. Generally, it's not our business to judge others, especially if you don't have anything to do with that person and we are not in any way affected by that person. But sometimes we have some dealings with that person, like a business dealings or whatever dealings are there. There should be some discrimination in order to protect ourselves. Otherwise, we might be cheated and exploited. If somebody comes and he wants to sell you something, and he's a crooked, and if you are just very naive, you will buy it and you'll be cheated. So some discrimination should be there just for that particular circumstances. Otherwise, if you have nothing to do with this person, it's not our business to judge. Let him be judged by authorities who are appointed for him, whoever it is, his guru or boss or whoever it is, he should instruct him. It's not our business. Is that okay? Yes, Prabhu.
Like I have two questions. First question is like if a patient is expelled from a hospital, because you are suffering, you have so many disease, so many bad disease, then where he will go, and where his disease will be cured. And second question is like in initial stage.
Can you just let me first? I didn't understand properly. So patient goes to the hospital, he has nowhere else to go.
He has so many disease
okay.
Have you
what is the question?
Envy and this duplicity, and there are many disease he is already suffering, and he has come to hospital. So if he will be expelled from that hospital, then where he will go? Where disease will be cured? But like Prabhupada is saying here, but Prabhupada even never expelled anyone, even his disciples. I have seen so many disciples, their disciples had done so many blunders, but they never expelled them from this outer system. So how to understand this? And second question, is like
Let me try to deal with the first one. Basically, although the hospital is not perfect, because we have no choice, we have to stay in the hospital to be here. That's true, yeah. Some doctor is better than no doctor, but doctor who is going to harm you and going to kill you, then it's better to to heal yourself. Yeah, it should not be intentional. The doctor should not intentionally cause harm. If by some accident, by lack of knowledge, he causes some harm, it can be forgiven. But for example, in a recent pandemic, at the beginning, they were putting people sick with the COVID in hospitals, and they were putting them on the ventilators. But then it turned out that 90% of those who were on the ventilators, they were dying. That actually the ventilator was the most likely cause of death. So that practice was stopped. But in the beginning, nobody knew. But maybe some knew, so they were causing intentional harm by putting people on the ventilators. So such so-called doctors one should avoid to save oneself. But if somebody is really well-intentioned and he wants really to help, but sometimes he makes mistakes, that's fine, that's okay, it should be forgiven. This is how I see it.
My question was like, if patient is suffering, he has so many diseases, like
yes.
So, like he should be admitted, like and try to be cured, not to expel them because you have this all bad.
Oh, you mean okay? Because somebody is crooked and then you just reject him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. You cannot just kick him outside. But madhyama-adhikari, if the person is really envious, madhyama-adhikari, he neglects. It's called upeksha. Because he cannot deal with a snake. But if somebody is innocent but is just misguided, there is a difference. You have to judge. Somebody is innocent and he has some bad habits like lying and cheating. Might not be crooked really, but just bad habits, not so truthful. Yeah, you can try to help him according to your capacity, not just completely shun him. And I mean, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if somebody is saintly but by some mistake he commits sinful activity, that should be overlooked. So yeah, it's not that anybody who shows some crookedness should be completely shunned. It's not like that. But who can help him? Whether we can help him or somebody else can help him, we have to judge if we are able to help him. If he wants to listen, if he's open, if he recognizes that he is sick and he's open for help, then it's fine. Yeah, then he should be admitted. The patient who wants to be cured and who recognizes that he has a problem, he should be admitted. But the patient who says, no, I'm not sick, I'm completely healthy, there is no problem with me, and you're forcing him to come to the hospital, then it's not going to work. He will run away. First, that person, he has to admit that he has some anartha that needs to be cured. Then, of course, we will admit him with open hands and try to help him. Just he has to be willing for the healing process. That's okay?
If he has so many like bad qualities or bad characters, but like if he is taking medicine and medicine is Harinam, then ultimately one day he will be changed. Like because at least one thing is there, like he is taking medicine, like in any way, whatever he is thinking, whatever like his house being, but he is taking Harinam. So like, and he is listening Harinam.
Yeah, definitely. The medicine will work. Of course, if it's taken in improper way, it might take a long time. So if the holy name is chanted with Namaparad, it will take a long time. But still, it's better than not taking it at all. So everybody should be given chance, definitely. Nobody should be shunned. That's I agree completely. You had a second question? No. That doesn't mean that if we are trying to, Vaishnava should look like a Vaishnava. I mean, it's a part of our sadhana devotional service to wear Vaishnava attire, to wear a tilak. It can be done without ulterior motives. If your heart is pure and you're just sincerely trying to be a devotee, then you're supposed to do what the devotee is supposed to do. You're supposed to look like a devotee. You're not supposed to look like a demon. The main question, what is your highest aspiration? The devotee is judged by his highest aspiration. He is not judged by his present condition or present state. Even in the present state, he might be imperfect. He still might have imperfections. He still might have anarthas. But he has a goal. He wants to achieve pure love for Krishna. He wants to achieve pure devotional service. If this is his highest aspiration, he should be respected according to that highest aspiration. He should be accepted as a pure devotee, even if his present state is not perfect. But because he wants to become a pure devotee and he wants to serve Krishna without ulterior motives, with the love and devotion, he should be accepted as a pure devotee. So that's why we should dress and act and behave as devotee, but also try to be devotee inside, in the mind, also externally and internally. Okay, I think we have to stop the darshan artist starting. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.